Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Top Tips webinar. My name is James Evely, and I'm the editor of In Publishing. The format of the webinar is very straightforward. Carolyn will make a 20-minute presentation, which will be followed by a 10-minute Q&A. To take part in the Q&A, simply type your question into the panel in front of you at any time. I will then collate the questions and put as many of them as possible to Carolyn after her presentation. I won't read out the names of the people asking the questions, just the questions themselves. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you straight over to Carolyn.
Hi, thank you, James, and welcome to this webinar about navigating the future of B2B media. I have to say, I've got a very slight cold today. I should be fine, but you know, I might stop every so often to sort of sip some honey and lemon, but I think I'll be fine for half an hour. So today, I'm going to focus on how the market for B2B media is changing and outline 10 practical strategies that will help you reshape your business for the future. From all the projects, interviews and conversations I've had with B2B media leaders in the last year, I've picked out the major trends in how they're developing their business and the best practices they have identified. So B2B media is undergoing rapid change. Technology is changing the business challenges our readers and advertisers face. It is also changing the information they need to plan their own business, establish new partnerships and make new purchase decisions. While customers can feel as though basic news and information is abundantly available, they find it much harder to locate relevant intelligence and insight quickly. Display advertising is dying. Most B2B advertisers are much more focused on identifying and influencing the best possible prospects. And to do this, they need advice on reaching them and carefully crafted content. Despite the dominance of digital content, face-to-face business events, from small-scale networking drinks to vast expos, are still important for establishing new business relationships, deepening current connections, and discovering new innovations. Relevance is everything. As job roles and industry sectors become more niche, customers want tailored analysis and insight that actually helps them do their job better. And as the business world becomes more global, so UK publishers are exposed to wider competition. Digital startups are intent on disrupting every sector of the economy, so traditional B2B media brands cannot afford to stand still. So, first strategy is to engage deeply with your customers. A strong theme when I'm talking to innovative B2B media businesses is being prepared to let go of formats and products that are no longer relevant to their customers, and engage deeply with their community to discover what products and services they will need in future, and to do this with a very open mind. Publishers are gathering this intelligence through a wide range of methods, from informal feedback at their own events and one-to-one meetings, to a more structured program of consulting user groups regularly throughout the product development process. Several have set up advisory boards of major customers to feed back on the relevance and quality of their current products and services, and to shape their future development. Many have hired customers into their editorial analysis and marketing teams. So whatever program you currently have for engaging with and researching your customers, it's worth considering how you can enhance it and gain much deeper insights. Number 2, test out subscription propositions. Many B2B publishers were established on the controlled circulation model and carried this approach over to their digital content. But as display advertising declines, this reliance on free-to-air content becomes riskier. So an increasing number of B2B media brands that were formerly free are experimenting with tiers of subscriptions. So one example is The Lawyer from Centre, which is pictured here. A common theme is to build on the added value content, so reports, research, archive, data, best practice, to craft a paid subscription proposition whilst leaving news on free access. Enterprise subscriptions, which include a combination of print, digital logins, research access and events, are increasingly popular, and good analytics make it easier to renew and upsell customers. Many publishers are also developing membership propositions for an elite group within their community, with a much stronger emphasis on exclusive events and networking. So if you're not offering anything on paid subscriptions, it's worth starting that journey and experimenting with a number of different paid propositions. Number 3, develop intelligence products. In most of my recent conversations with B2B media leaders, they have discussed their aspirations to develop data-driven intelligence products, delivering relevant data and insights to a small group of customers on a high-ticket subscription. These products can combine proprietary data sets, insightful analysis, and predictions from experienced editorial teams and analysts, all in a practical user interface designed to help customers manage processes. Some B2B media owners are creating tools specifically designed to manage customer processes, for example, decision support for healthcare professionals, or assisting pharma companies with setting up and tracking clinical trials. Once established, data and intelligence products can provide a significant renewable revenue stream. But they require substantial investment in research, data building, and technical development to create. And once live, subscribers expect high service levels, with training and ongoing support to ensure they extract maximum value from the data available. So it's definitely worth investigating, but it's a big investment of time and money in order to develop these kinds of products. Number 4, grow live events. By contrast, the other fast-growing revenue source for B2B media that I've been speaking to the last year is live events. Despite the growth of digital communication, most business communities still value face-to-face events for inspiration, discovering new innovations, and particularly establishing new business relationships. Live events can establish a media brand in a new market sector and develop important partnerships with trade associations, government agencies, and influential corporate sponsors. Many B2B media leaders are using events to test the water in new geographies before investing in a more significant content business locally. Once established, live events can achieve high exhibitor and sponsor renewal rates and expand delegate databases. Number 5, provide content marketing solutions. B2B advertisers are shifting their focus onto content marketing, creating reports, videos, and articles designed to attract the attention of their prospective customers. In some sectors, half the marketing budget is now spent on content. But despite hiring in former journalists, many advertisers struggle to create truly compelling content. So this has created an opportunity for many B2B publishers to apply their knowledge of their audience and content craft skills to create sponsored content on behalf of ad clients. Financial publisher Last Word has seen astounding growth in this sector after setting up a dedicated team which creates videos, research reports, microsites, and live events for their advertisers. The content is distributed through the publisher's own channels, the client's own sites, and via third parties. Publishers are also starting to collate valuable data on the content consumed by customers on their channels while they're going through a research and purchase process, which can provide advertisers with further insights as to exactly how and when they need to target their prospective customers. Number 6, expand internationally. As most industry sectors become global, even niche B2B media are expanding their reach, taking advantage of English being the main language of business. The most popular regions are North America and Asia Pacific, with lots of new Chinese editions of niche magazines and events. But publishers do face some significant challenges, from building up knowledge of a local market to tailoring content to suit specific needs. There may well be entrenched local competitors, and building up a critical mass of local staff can be challenging. Number 7, experiment with artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence may sound like science fiction, but it is already affecting many industry sectors and will inevitably be changing how your customers do business. AI is also already changing journalism, with ICIJ, which is an association of investigative journalists, using advanced data platforms to uncover the connections within the Panama Papers. That's the image on this slide. And many US news organizations, including the Associated Press, are experimenting with AI to generate simple news stories. AI and machine learning will enable publishers to better analyze user behavior online and could add value to datasets in intelligence products. There are already tools that automatically generate tags for published articles, power related articles, and that use AI to generate headlines and email subject lines. AI has helped services like Alexa from Amazon to understand natural language and the intent behind even a badly phrased verbal question. Watch out for voice search. It is forecast to account for 30% of all searches by 2021. AI is already being used in the form of chatbots to simplify customer service. And some consumer publishers, such as Quartz and Time Out, are creating content services with chatbots and Google Assistant. AI can also be used to spot renewal risks. Informa have used machine learning to identify at an early stage those subscription accounts that are at risk of lapsing and are convinced that they have saved revenue as a result. So stay informed, watch for developments, and even experiment a little yourself. Number 8, build deeper customer data. A side effect of the GDPR regulation, tightening up on wider databases, is to cause B2B media businesses to focus in greater detail on their core customers and gather much deeper data on their behaviour and priorities. Job role alone is no longer a good indicator of who is the decision maker, and increasingly organisations make decisions collectively, so several people are involved. Gaining a far more nuanced understanding of the information gathering and decision-making process will help publishers develop more relevant content and more useful information services for their readers and subscribers. Tracking the content journeys followed during a buying process will uncover further insights. A good benchmark is aiming to understand actual buying behaviour rather than relying on simple demographics as a predictor. Number 9, embrace marketing automation. Even for smaller B2B publishers, marketing automation is now seen as a necessity, not a luxury. The challenge for technology leaders within media businesses is learning how to integrate multiple third-party systems, as few publishers can justify building systems in-house. So it's important to be able to connect email service providers, CRMs, content management, and data analysis packages. B2B media businesses who have scrambled up this curve already say they are now able to target marketing communications for specific products or events far more finely, avoiding the risk of exhausting their lists and also enhancing their responses. Number 10, secure your talent pipeline. With such a major upheaval in the technology used to run the business and the development of new digital products, it's no surprise that there's a talent gap. The biggest issues are in data analysis, customer insight, product development, and marketing strategy. B2B media businesses are adopting a range of strategies to tackle the shortfall. Some make a point of partnering with specialist agencies and ensuring that in-house staff learn from the experts to update their skills. This is not to replace the need for agencies, as they will always be slightly ahead, just a way to keep topping up internal knowledge. Others aim to spot raw talent and then invest in training them in-house. To create a product development team department from scratch, Informa hired a senior product director who then built a team. You may need to use a mix of these approaches to secure your own digital talent pipeline. So to summarise, these are the 10 strategies I recommend to develop your B2B media business for the future. Number 1, engage deeply with customers. Number 2, test out subscription propositions. Number 3, develop intelligence products. Number 4, grow live events. Number 5, provide content marketing solutions. Number 6, expand internationally. Number 7, experiment with artificial intelligence. Number 8, build deeper customer data. Number 9, embrace marketing automation. And number 10, secure your talent pipeline. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have now, and if you run out of time, feel free to get in touch after the webinar.
Karen, thank you very much. I think your voice has held up very well.
Good.
All things considered. Yes, we have a question on AI. I can see the potential for understanding reader behavior, but it is expensive and still unclear how it can be used. What is a viable strategy for a small publisher with limited resources?
Right, yes. Well, I guess it's quite a large and unmanageable subject, and I guess I'm just flagging it up, saying, watch out, this is coming. I think one good thing that probably any publisher could do is kind of commission one of your editorial team to kind of research the impact of AI in amongst your customers in the industry which you serve. Because I think that would make good editorial, and it might also uncover some ideas for how you might want to change the way in which you produce your content. Another interesting source is the Associated Press have been doing lots of experimentation with different tools to summarize articles, to tag articles automatically, to generate corporate earnings reports and simple sports reports using templates and AI. And there's a really good report which I'm sure I can sort of circulate the link to people afterwards, which starts to talk through what they're doing. And I think it's good just to sort of like to look at that. And there are a surprising number of relatively low cost tools that are out there that are worth experimenting with. So I think it's probably a sort of like watch this space. I'm certainly planning a few articles on this topic, but I think you know there will be sort of like SaaS-based tools which may well be available and affordable for smaller publishers.
Okay, Carolyn, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think having publications/content deployed on easy to read and use mobile devices, how important is that currently? And do you see this figure rising or declining?
I guess so. The question really is like, I guess it's the rise of mobile as opposed to desktop. And I remember a year ago when I was chairing Fit Mobile, asking the people in the room, the publishers in the room, what percentage of their traffic, their mobile traffic, of the percentage of their online traffic was mobile, and it was 80%. 70 or 80%. We did a little poll in the room. So I think it's only going one way. And even for kind of like business markets, people are just not at their desk in the office that much these days. They're far more likely to be consulting your content when they're on the move. So I think you have to design your kind of content for mobile use first, and then sort of adapt it for kind of desktop afterwards.
Okay. Another one. Thanks for the insights, Carolyn. You mentioned that you thought display was dying. Do you think it will go completely? And what is a healthy division between display and subs revenue?
Well, I guess lots of different questions here. One, I'm maybe making a dramatic statement about display is dying, because I think it's important for business publishers to take action. And saying that is based on conversations I've had with a number of different publishers, and also with some of their advertisers, where they are putting more and more and more of their marketing budget into creating content. And really the display is just a way, it's like poster sites, it's a way of flagging up the content. So I think it's still part of the mix. But if at the moment your business, the advertising is 100% display, banners and MPUs and things, then I think that's a risky place to be. I think you need to start exploring sponsored content, and obviously there's also sponsorship around events and live events and webinars and other activities, because it's just very hard to kind of like track whether display advertising in a B2B context is actually doing anything. If it's part of a campaign where you've got a white paper or a research report or something else, and it's used to flag things up and direct people, and then you've got a way of capturing leads, it's fine, but it's just part of it. And I guess, again, I'm possibly biased, but subscriptions versus advertising, I'd say, you want more subscriptions revenue. Whatever you have, you want more. The most highly valued B2B businesses make a big play of being like 75% subscription revenue and having a 90% renewal rate, and so on. So wherever you are on the spectrum, you need more subscription revenue, because I think there's a risk around display advertising revenue.
Okay. Is there any AI article tagging software that you're aware of and that you would recommend?
I am aware of some. And some of the names are, I know I'm not allowed to mention, it's a bit like BBC really in publishing. I'm not allowed to mention any individual names, but there are several that are mentioned in that Associated Press report, which I'll happily share the link with. I haven't personally used any, but there's certainly kind of comparisons articles I've seen online looking at different approaches.
Okay. Building more insightful data is very difficult for publishers as people are wary of allowing B2B marketing. How is it useful to get more data on companies if we can't use it? How can it be of benefit?
I think probably what I'm advocating when I say getting closer to customers is I think you need to talk to them. I think it isn't about getting them to fill in longer online forms. And I've heard this story in lots of different ways from lots of different publishers, and finding ways of sitting down and talking to some of your customers, whether that's at an event, whether it's one you run or it's one that other people run, or whether it's over lunch, which is what some people do, or over some kind of informal gathering, or simply talking to them on the phone and listening to what they're interested in. I think that is really, really important to understand how your customer's business is changing, and what information they need, and therefore how you might need to adapt the kind of content you produce, or the mix of content you produce. Maybe you need to change the frequency of your magazine and launch more small events or whatever. So I think I'm advocating doing kind of in-depth, kind of qualitative conversations with customers, and also when you are developing something new, sort of like borrowing an idea from agile development and bringing customers in on a regular basis every couple of weeks or so to sort of say, well, this is what we're doing. What do you think? I think it's also kind of important to really understand your main customers. And this obviously depends on the market you're in. If you're in a market where a lot of your subscribers are part of quite large organizations and you maybe have 10, 15, 20, 30 subscribers within that, or readers within that organization, it's probably worth devoting a little bit of research time to understanding the decision-making structures within that organization and just working out whether there are job categories or job titles that you should be targeting that you're not. So it's kind of getting to know the large organizations in depth, but then also questioning and engaging with your customers face to face or over the phone or at events, and really understanding how their information needs are changing, because I think that's the only way that you will be able to spot opportunities for new products and new services.
Okay, Karen, how much of what you've spoken about today is relevant and applicable to B2C media?
Well, I think it's a grey boundary, and there are plenty of publications and markets where you've got an audience who are a bit consumer and a bit B2B, maybe a professional audience. I mean, they might be freelance photographers, or they might be teachers or tutors, or they may be agency nurses or whatever. But there's lots of people who are primarily reading these publications for their work, but they're behaving as an individual, not as a cog in a corporate machine. So I think for those sorts of kind of grey area, kind of like prosumer type audiences, a lot of this is very relevant. I guess the challenge with kind of consumer markets is there may not be the headroom to charge significant amounts for the premium sort of like subscription. So you may well hit a ceiling in terms of the kind of subscriptions. I think you still need to focus on subscriptions, and you still need to focus on events, and you still need to focus on developing content marketing solutions for advertisers, because I still think that display advertising, particularly online, is challenged in consumer markets. But perhaps you haven't got that pricing headroom that you have in B2B markets.
Okay, Carolyn, you haven't really touched on print. Do you think it has a future, and if so, what role should it play?
Oh yes. Sorry, I've talked about the new stuff, haven't I? I mean, I think print is part of the mix, but I guess what's changing is the type of information people are consuming. They want to kind of consume in different channels. So even a few years ago, maybe you'd have job ads in print magazines, you'd have news in print magazines. This is in a B2B context. And so there was a sort of an argument for having a weekly or a monthly magazine. But what we've seen just in the last year, Marketing Week has gone monthly. It's now MW. The Lawyer has gone monthly, and I'm aware of several more niche magazines which are considering going from weekly to monthly, or if they're monthly, they may be going from monthly to bi-monthly. So I think the role of print is not about giving people kind of regular information about what's going on in the industry, because they can get that online. It's more about a kind of a more relaxed read, a more thoughtful, analytical commentary on what's going on, more of a sort of like a digest. So I think print is part of the mix. There is a definite move within B2B towards lower frequency, and there are plenty of examples of B2B publishers who have just stopped print altogether, and actually their business is fine, and the advertisers have converted, and the readers are not bothered. It depends a lot on the market that you're in. So I think there's a direction of travel, but there is still a role for sort of print, even if it just ends up being a kind of quarterly coffee table thought leadership reference type product rather than a news product.
How do you see social media playing a part in the future of B2B marketing?
I think social media is great for finding like-minded people and identifying, I guess, the opinion formers in a particular sector. And as as most business markets become more international and more global, with global manufacturing, people selling services cross border, it's a very good way of identifying who's active and who's sort of like out there in a sort of like a niche sector. So I think it's definitely of use to editorial and marketing teams for finding people, maybe finding contributors, finding opinion formers. It has a great role to play at live events, conferences and live events, because there may be loads of people who cannot attend an event in person, but are lurking out there in the ether. The kind of content from speakers can be rippled out to a very, very large audience. So I think that helps sort of, I guess, create the awareness and authority of a media brand. If you are, if you're seen as your breaking news, and it's not only available to those at the live event or those who are reading your publication, but it's shared and it's influencing the opinion formers and the influencers worldwide. So it's a way of amplifying, I guess, your content and reaching new people.
Okay, Karen, I think we've got time for maybe to squeeze a couple more in.
Yes.
Next one's a very big one, so you might have to
okay.
be concise. Any tips on moving or building subs revenue? Any good practice you can share? It can be a big challenge for smaller publishers.
Yes, well, I guess I go back to some of the themes in my in my presentation. I think you have to engage with your audience and really sort of bit of detective work as to what is it that they really value, or what could you add to the subs proposition that would really make a difference. And in a lot of B2B markets, content is great, analysis is even better, networking is the gold dust, and that is actual networking, as in sharing information with peers. So a lot of publishers are doing is kind of moving perhaps from a straight content subscription to more of a membership type proposition, and providing opportunities for members to meet up, to mix, to share ideas. And I think enlisting that network effect is a way to add value to a subscription. And then I guess the other thing is to experiment with tiers. So you may have a base tier, and perhaps you're not sure, you're not confident you can grow the pricing on that, but perhaps if you develop a more enhanced elite membership type tier, you can be quite bold on the pricing, and sort of see how many people you can trade up to that.
Okay, Karen, one more. What is your view on virtual reality now and in the future? Is it a novelty or opportunity?
I think it's really interesting. I went to Web Summit in Lisbon in November, which was mind blowing. Lots of VR experiences, and I am aware of, there's a few good case studies. One is the New York Times. They are producing a lot of virtual reality content, and they sent out Google Cardboard headsets to their readers with the newspaper, very old school. And they have an app you can download to your phone, and you can sort of view it from there. So, and they make money from it, but they make money because it's sponsored content. So they get big kind of corporations to sponsor the content. So there is a business model around VR as a new storytelling device. That, of course, is in a consumer market, not in a B2B market. I've also seen some, interesting things around being able to walk around new buildings or event locations, or being able to experience a place, which you can't really do with flat photography as well. So I can see there's opportunities. I also think most of the examples I've seen where VR has been tested out by a kind of publisher. There's a publisher in Norway that's done quite a lot, and I forget the name at the moment, but it's usually been sponsor driven. So they found a sponsor who wanted to tell their story not through video or words, but through VR. So I think there are some use cases out there, but they're mostly sponsor led. But again, a bit like my comment about AI, I think it's worth monitoring, because Google is also putting quite a lot of investment into, I think it's called Google Daydream, which is a smartphone version of VR. And once there are kind of manageable apps that will give you a VR experience using normal smartphone rather than having to have a specialized headset, then I can sort of see that is a way of delivering content around, giving people a sense of what a place is like, a venue, a hotel, a new building or something, which there may well be opportunities to do something. So it's another one of these sort of, like, I would say, keep tabs on it, because and kind of like, I guess one thing I'm doing is sort of like, just watching out for good examples of people using it and making money, which is the important bit.
Carolyn, thank you very much. That is all we've got time for. So thank you very much. A fascinating session. And a lively Q&A. So thank you indeed.
Yeah. No, thank you for the questions.
Okay. And now Carolyn will be writing an article for this week's InPub Weekly, revisiting some of those questions and touching on any questions which we might not have had a time to get to today. So look out for that on Thursday. A recording of today's webinar will be uploaded to the web shortly, and we will email you a link to it tomorrow. We will be publishing more details of future webinars on the InPublishing website over the next few weeks. If you'd like to discuss commercial opportunities around our Top Tips webinar program, then please do get in touch with my colleague, Martin Maynard. Until next time, thank you very much for listening, and have a very good afternoon.